it's not the job or relationship, it's the way you see it. And I think we just keep saying that it's this external shell that we're in, when it's actually this shell and what's happening inside of it that's defining all of these perspectives.
In chapter 3, you talk about there being good fear and bad fear. How can fear be a good thing?
I realized that fear could be healthy or unhealthy based on how I used it. And most of us don't realize that we get consumed by fear instead of using fear. So fear becomes our being, in the sense that fear becomes what controls us. It tells us what we should do and what we shouldn't do. It tells us how we should think and we shouldn't think. It stops us from doing stuff that's really important to us. And it makes us do things that we would never ever do. It makes us say things to people that we love that we would never want to say to them. And on the other end, it stops you from saying things you really want to say to someone because you don't want to appear weak and your ego won't let you. So fear takes this really magnetic controlling effect on our whole lives. But fear at the same time can be one of the healthiest things because it's basically giving you a signal as to what's important. It's basically giving you as a signal as to how you feel. And when you use it as a signal, not as a suggestion or a push, it changes everything. So let's make that practical. When you are in your home and if the fire alarm goes off, that gives you a signal to say, check if there's a fire, right? Now, if you go, oh, just turn it off, it doesn't matter. Let's avoid my fear. Let's just turn it off. Let's forget about it. Your house could burn down. Or if you're lucky, there was nothing and it's fine. But the odds are that there could be a fire. Now, if you're someone who goes, well, let me inspect it. Let me be curious about that. I am scared that there's a fire in my house now that I've heard the fire alarm, but let me be curious. Let me inspect. Let me check. Imagine we approached our fear in that way. Imagine every time I felt scared of something, I said, well, let me get curious about this. Why am I scared of this? Why is it affecting me so much? What about this scares me? Is it all of it? Or is it just a part of it? When you start doing it, you start to break that fear down. And that's the healthy way of looking at fear rather than the unhealthy way of saying, forget about it, keep it away from me. I don't want to go there. And so for me, I really feel that fear is what blocks us from these beautiful breakthroughs in life. And it has such a chokehold on us, like it has such a strong hold on us. And I think most of us are living our lives because we're scared of what someone will say, what someone will think, or what someone will do. And that feels like something that we're going to regret when we're at the end of our lives.
They do, right? What do you typically say to those people that, you know, they hate the situation they're in, but the fear is kind of imprisoning them into inaction?
I was saying this to someone on my team this morning, actually. I always try and meet everyone with compassion and not judgment, because I know what it feels like to experience that, and I still experience that in different areas of my life. So it's always there. And I think if you don't meet it with compassion, you can kind of say something really energetic in the moment and kind of make them feel like they've solved it, but that isn't really wearing it down. I think for me, the first thing is to acknowledge that fear is real, to acknowledge that there potentially will be backlash, that there potentially will be someone who's upset. Because I think often we're told, oh no, just do what you want and it doesn't matter. And I'm like, well, it does matter, because maybe you are a good person and you don't want someone to be upset, or you don't want to let your parents down, or you don't want to hurt someone, right? Or you don't want to ruin your reputation by quitting your job or whatever it may be. And I think it's important to acknowledge that that's real and that may happen. But I think what I try and do next is say, okay, well, let's say you didn't change anything. How are you going to feel in 5 to 10 years? And that's my favorite question to ask someone. Let's not change anything about your life. How does it feel in 5 to 10 years? And if it feels worse than what you think it is now, chances are that even if you're going to hurt someone, that's probably the better way to go. But if you say you're going to feel the same or better, then sure, just accept that. And most people will say, well, no, if I don't change anything, if I don't get out of this, my life's going to be worse. But here's the other thing. I think we're always conditioned to think that we need to change our situation to create a change in our life. And actually, with what both of us believe, it's all about a change in perspective and mindset. I have learned things from jobs that I hated, but that are so useful to me right now. I have learned things from relationships with people I've had and those people that I didn't get along with, but those lessons are still serving me today. I've been in countless situations where I wanted to get out of that situation, but that situation was perfectly designed to show me something. And the problem is we're constantly trying to just move and get away. And so really what I say to everyone is I want you to find out what is the perspective shift that this situation is trying to create in your life? Because if you take that with you, that perspective is going to stay with you no matter the situation. But if you just keep trying to change your environment, hoping that your life's going to improve, you're going to feel dissatisfied at the next place and the next place and the one after that. And I feel we're just conditioned to say, okay, you don't like your job, quit your job. You don't like your relationship, quit your relationship. It's not the job or relationship, it's the way you see it. And I think we just keep saying that it's this external shell that we're in, when it's actually this shell and what's happening inside of it that's defining all of these perspectives.
오늘의 성공의 비밀을 완벽하게 내 것으로 만들기 위해서는 보고, 듣고, 쓰는 것이 매우 중요합니다. 한글과 영어로 노트에 필사하면서 씹어 먹어버리세요. 한글 5번, 영어 5번입니다. 시작합니다. 나는 두려움을 위협이 아닌 신호로 인식하여 삶에 도움이 되도록 사용합니다.
I use fear in healthy way by acknowledging it as a signal rather than a threat.
나는 두려움을 위협이 아닌 신호로 인식하여 삶에 도움이 되도록 사용합니다.
I use fear in healthy way by acknowledging it as a signal rather than a threat.
나는 두려움을 위협이 아닌 신호로 인식하여 삶에 도움이 되도록 사용합니다.
I use fear in healthy way by acknowledging it as a signal rather than a threat.
나는 두려움을 위협이 아닌 신호로 인식하여 삶에 도움이 되도록 사용합니다.
I use fear in healthy way by acknowledging it as a signal rather than a threat.
나는 두려움을 위협이 아닌 신호로 인식하여 삶에 도움이 되도록 사용합니다.
I use fear in healthy way by acknowledging it as a signal rather than a threat.
하루 10분만 행동하면 인생 역전은 내 얘기가 됩니다. 매일 동기부여 모닝콜을 통해 성공한 사람들의 성공 비밀을 내 것으로 만들어 보세요. 오늘도 필사에 성공하신 여러분은 부의 마인드를 장착하신 대단한 분들이십니다. 함께하면 부의 마인드는 더 강력해집니다. 지금 당장 성공시키고 싶은 사람을 초대해주세요. 좋아요, 구독, 알림 설정은 이 모닝콜을 함께 제작하는 20명이 넘는 재능 기부자들과 켈리에게 큰 힘을 줍니다. 사랑합니다.